My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode. Today, 20 things new sports card investors must know. This is a critical episode for anybody who is newer into sports card investing or collecting. If that is you, sit back and watch this episode today. Take some notes. This is an important episode. If that is not you, maybe you can share this episode with somebody who is newer in investing or collecting, or maybe you want to watch it yourself just to get some refreshers and some tips, or to figure out how you can contribute to the conversation. What maybe am I not covering during this episode? What could you leave in the comments of this episode below? But I welcome you to this episode. There's so many new people getting in the hobby, and I love the fact that we have all of these new people rushing into the hobby. I welcome them with open arms. But man, this hobby is complicated. There are a lot of pitfalls awaiting people who are coming into the hobby, and there's a lot for them to learn. And unfortunately, there are probably some expensive lessons that most new investors and collectors learn when trying to get into this hobby and trying to figure out how to buy things at a fair price, how to sell things at a fair price, and just figure out in general what they're doing and how to navigate the hobby, especially from an investment standpoint. And that's what this episode is going to be about today, hopefully helping those newer investors and collectors avoid some of those pitfalls that so many of us fell into when we got back into the hobby. But first, I want to mention our partner StockX is offering an awesome promo code I mentioned in the last couple of episodes. Promo code SCIPOD gets you $10 off any purchase of $50 or more of sports cards on StockX. Sports code SCIPOD. Use that code for $10 off your purchase of $50 or more on StockX. They've got a lot of great stuff on there right now for you to be taking a look at. And in fact, later in the episode today, I'm going to show you a card that maybe you should be thinking about investing in that's currently listed on StockX. I also want to remind you about the contest I am running, this absolutely key contest. I announced it during my last episode. I am giving away a box break. This is Prism Basketball first off the line. This is a box that people bought from anywhere between $300 to $1,000 for this single box. And I'm going to give away every single card in the box for free. A free box break, 10 lucky winners. Enter now by going to my website, sportscardinvestor.com, and clicking on contest in the main menu bar. Do not forget to enter that contest. I want you to be one of the 10 winners who gets to participate in that box break. Okay, guys, let's get into the list. The 20 things new sports card investors must know. And I have also turned this into a blog post. It is live on my blog. So as you're listening to this today, if you want to go back and reference this, or if you want to share it with anyone, you can go to sportscardinvestor.com and find this as a blog post right now. So number 20, making money flipping cards is harder than you think. A lot of people are rushing back into the hobby with the idea that this is an opportunity for them to make a quick buck. And while there is certainly money to be made, after all, that is the purpose of this show and this website, to talk about those opportunities to make money, it does take a lot of time, a lot of research, and the ability to overcome some mistakes and some losses, because those happen to the best of us. The market is very, very volatile for sports cards, and whatever today's hot rookie card is, that card may be worthless a month from now. So you are taking a risk whenever you are getting into sports card from an investment standpoint, and there's a lot to it. It is not as easy as it might look. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of risk involved with making money off of investing in sports cards. Number 19, don't forget the fees. One reason it can be hard to buy and sell sports cards for profit is because of the fees that get added to every transaction, especially if you're buying and selling cards online. When you're buying cards online, you're going to get hit with taxes and you're going to get hit with shipping. And then when you go to sell cards, you're going to get hit with transaction fees and you're going to get hit with credit card processing fees. All of these things cut into your profit margin if you're attempting to buy and sell cards for profit. It can be hard sometimes to overcome all of that taxes and shipping and fees and then still make profit on the other side. So you need to really be aware that fees are part of the game. You can cut out some of these fees by buying cards in person at card shows, or by making private transactions, going to Facebook groups, or going onto my Discord chat server where there is a buy, sell, trade channel with people who want to buy, sell, and trade cards outside of a service like eBay, which charges larger transaction fees. But if you buy and sell directly in that type of environment, there's a little bit more risk as a buyer. Now, if you're ever going to pay somebody through PayPal, if you buy a card online, through a private transaction, I recommend paying through PayPal. And if you're going to pay someone through PayPal, make sure you pay using the goods and services, not paying a friend. If you pay a friend via PayPal, you don't get any buyer protection. If you use the goods and services way to pay someone via PayPal, you get buyer protection. So if something does go wrong, you have some recourse through PayPal. Number 18, beware of shipping costs. This is something that can really get you, especially if you're buying on eBay. So what a lot of sellers do on eBay is they realize that a lot of people look at the price cards are listed for, but don't pay a lot of attention to what the associated shipping costs are if you purchase that card. So they will take advantage of this by charging artificially high shipping prices. Always check the shipping cost before purchasing a card online to make sure it's not an artificially high shipping cost, because shipping costs are, again, one of those fees that you have to take into account if you're buying sports cards from an investment standpoint and you're planning on selling them down the road. Number 17, this is a critical one that new collectors and investors get wrong all the time. Always, always, always look up the price history of a card before making a purchase. You should never buy a card unless you understand what the fair market value of that card is. And the best way to understand what the fair market value is to look at what that card has recently sold for online, and particularly on eBay. There are plenty of tools out there that will show you eBay sales history for a particular card. If you go to the resources page of my website, sportscardinvestor.com, I link to some of these tools. You should always use one of these tools before making a purchase to make sure you know what the recent value of that card is before you make a bid or before you buy the card online. Even if you are at a card show, if you see a card in the dealer's case that you want to buy, step away from the table, take out your phone, look up what the price history of that card is so you're aware of the market value before you go back to the table and make a decision to buy that card from the dealer. Number 16, negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. In this hobby, everybody expects negotiation. And in fact, rarely on eBay do you ever want to hit the buy it now button, because oftentimes people list cards at a buy it now that's 200% or more beyond what the actual market value of that card is. If there's the option to make an offer, you almost always want to make the offer, and you want to make it at a low but fair price. And of course, it's imperative for you to have looked up the price history to understand what a fair price would be. Even if you're at a card show, most of the time dealers at card shows will negotiate, and you can get a much better price than what the card price is that they quote you initially when you look at a card in the display case. Number 15. When buying on eBay, always read the full eBay description and examine the photo. Unfortunately, a lot of sellers try to trick new sports card investors and collectors by using misleading headlines or by disclosing damage to a card buried in the description on eBay. Watch out for tricks like someone putting in the title of their eBay listing PSA 10 ? Which means that it didn't actually grade at a PSA 10. That's a trick that people will often use to come up in searches if you search for PSA 10. But if you notice that question mark, you'll realize you're not actually buying a PSA 10 card. So look at the full title, look at the full description, look at the photo, and if anything seems off or fishy to you, do not buy that card. Now, as you know, StockX sponsors this show, and one really nice thing about buying and selling cards on StockX over eBay is that StockX verifies the cards for you before you get them. So StockX guarantees that you are getting the authentic card that you paid for. So you're not going to get tricked with the listings on StockX the same way you could potentially get tricked on eBay. Number 14, build a positive reputation on eBay as soon as you can, and especially before you try to sell. Now, you can quickly and easily do this. Even if you're brand new to eBay and you have zero ratings, you can quickly and easily build up a reputation by just buying a lot of inexpensive cards. Go find sellers that have cards for sale for 99 cents and buy a bunch of cards off of different sellers. Do a lot of different transactions and pay promptly. Get great feedback from these sellers. And if they don't give you feedback right away, email them and ask them to give you positive feedback. That will build up your positive feedback. And then that will help you in the future when you go to negotiate for cards on eBay, or especially when you go to sell cards on eBay. Number 13, consider how much risk you are willing to take and invest in the right category of cards for you. So buying cards such as new rookies or players in their first couple of years, it is a high risk, high reward game. Buying those rookies or players who are young in their career give you the most opportunity for upside if those players get hot. Their cards could potentially multiply, but they also give you the most opportunity to lose your investment. And in fact, more often than not, rookie cards that you will be buying today will be worth a lot less than what you paid for them down the road. So buying new players' cards is a very, very risky form of investing. Now, it is the form of investing that I spend a lot of my time pursuing because it has the highest rewards, but you've got to be comfortable with the risk and you've got to understand the risk. A safer form of investment when it comes to sports cards is to buy established players, to buy veteran players, to buy Hall of Fame players, retired players. The cards of those guys are less volatile. They are more likely to slowly increase over time. You're not likely to see the big spikes up or down. Now, at the same time, you're also not as likely to see really huge, quick increases in value the way you could with a young guy's card. But you're taking a lot less risk if you're buying established players, veteran players, Hall of Famers, retired players. So the question is, how much risk do you want to take? What type of investor are you? Are you wanting to buy the young guys and take a lot of risk, or are you wanting to buy the established guys and hold on for the long term and know that you have a better chance of making profit slowly but surely over the long term? Maybe it's a mix of both. Maybe you want to diversify. That's something that I always typically recommend to new investors. But you have to be comfortable with your own risk level, and then you should be buying those types of cards that associate with the risk level, with how much risk you are willing to take. Number 12, invest in what you know. To be effective at investing, you really have to understand the sport and the players whose cards you are buying. If you are getting into buying cards of players or sports who you don't really know and you don't really understand, you are setting yourself up for a lot of trouble. You are better off investing in what you know. And even if you're the type of person that watches a lot of sports and actually knows quite a bit about all of the different sports, I personally still think you are better off picking just one sport to invest in, because that sport you can then go deeper with your knowledge of the players, of the teams, of transactions that are happening, of card releases that are coming out. Knowledge is power when it comes to investing in anything. And that's especially true in sports cars. So the more knowledge you can gain, the better. And you can do that more rapidly if you concentrate on one particular sport and one particular area of investing. So invest in what you know best. Number 11, in general, focus on quarterbacks in football, shooters in basketball, and home run hitters in baseball. And the reason is simple. People love investing and collecting in players who put up big offensive numbers, who are on the highlight reels, who are exciting to watch. That's who people love to buy. They generally aren't buying defensive players. They generally aren't buying middle relievers. They're not as exciting. They're not as interesting. They're not putting up as many highlight reel moments. As an investor, you want to be buying the cards of players that collectors are going to get really excited about in the future. And so that often means going for the guys who are the quarterback of the team, or that are going to hit the big home run, or have the 40-point shooting night in the NBA. Number 10, buy graded cards whenever possible. Unless you're buying cards from a brand new release that just came out where there's no graded cards yet on the market, you should really only be looking at buying graded cards from an investment standpoint. And naturally, you want to buy the best grade possible. Typically, you're wanting to buy PSA 10s or BGS 9.5 or above for modern cards. If you find a card that has been out on the market for several months or years and it's not graded, chances are that that card is not in great condition. And the reason why the card is not graded is because the prior owner of the card either sent it off for grading and got a bad grade back and therefore took the card out of the case so it is no longer graded, or they looked at the card and realized it's not going to grade well, and so they never sent it off for grading to begin with. Now, that's assuming it's a valuable card. If it's not a valuable card, then it's possibly they didn't feel like paying the fees to have it graded. They didn't think it was worthwhile. But any valuable card that has been out for some time and isn't graded, chances are there's something wrong with that card. You are best off buying graded cards if you are looking to invest. Number 9, invest in scarcity. In general, the rarer the card, the more valuable that card will become over time. Serial numbered cards are good to invest in for this reason. I always like investing in serial numbered cards because they have scarcity built into them based on the very fact that they're serial numbered. And tough to get autographs and premium patches also can add scarcity to a card and make it more sought after. For graded cards, check your population reports. You can go to PSA's website, you can go to Beckett's website for BGS, and you can type in a card, go to the population report, type in a card, and see how many of that card exists in a certain grade. Generally, the fewer cards that exist in a particular grade, the better it is for you to be buying that card. Less graded, more scarce, generally means better in terms of the ability for that card to appreciate over time. Number 8, know exactly what card and variation you are buying and understand the checklist. For new collectors and investors, it is extremely confusing. When you're trying to buy cards, the number of different color variations, the number of different inserts that exist with even one particular set of cards can be overwhelming. You just want to buy this guy's rookie card, but there's a bunch of different versions of the rookie card, even within one set. And then of those versions, there's a bunch of different colors and variations and different serial numbers. It can be really confusing to keep track of. Whenever you're buying, it's critically important that you know and understand the particular variation that you are buying. And of course, always go back and check price history. I mentioned that earlier as a tip. Check the price history of the particular variation of the card and the particular set of the card that you are buying. And if you're a little bit confused, look at photos. Look at photos of prior eBay sales versus the photo of the card you are now trying to buy. If it's a graded card, very carefully read the information at the top of the graded card, because that will tell you exactly what the variation and set of the card is. Read the information on that grading label and then compare it to the price history of cards that have the exact same grading label, so you know that you're comparing the same variation of card. And you can also look at checklists of popular card sets. If you go to the resources page on my website, I link to various websites that have checklists that show you all of the different variations of a card that exist within every single set. Number 7, invest only in cards from licensed products and sought after sets. For the last several years, Topps is the only manufacturer that has been able to make licensed MLB cards. That means MLB cards that have the baseball team's actual logo on the cards. Panini is the only manufacturer that's been able to make NFL and NBA licensed cards with the team logos, and Upper Deck for hockey cards. Therefore, those are the cards you want to be buying because you want to get the actual licensed cards from those manufacturers. Licensed cards are the ones that are going to hold the most value over time. Additionally, even if you're buying licensed cards, Panini, Topps, Upper Deck, every year they come out with a whole bunch of different sets, a whole bunch of different brand names. Topps, all these different brand names of baseball cards. Panini, all of these different brand names of basketball cards, etc. Concentrate on the sets that are the ones that are the most popular. Concentrate on the brand names that are the ones that are most popular. Because there are kind of a lot of fringe brands that may come and go and they may make them one year and not make them the next year. That's not good from an investment standpoint. You really want to concentrate on the key brands, the ones that have been around for several years in a row, the ones that collectors and investors go after and are likely to be around for several years in the future. Those are the brands that you want to be buying into. If you're not sure what they are, go back and watch some of my previous videos, such as Modern Sports Card Investing 101, where I cover quite a bit on that topic. Number 6, generally invest only in rookie cards. So when I am buying cards from an investment standpoint, I only buy a player's rookie cards. I don't buy their second year, third year, fifth year, 10th year. I don't buy any of those cards. I'm only interested in buying their rookie cards from an investment standpoint. Look, the reason for this is simple. Every player is only going to have one rookie year. You know, your star in the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball or hockey, a star player may last in the league for 15 years or longer. That means they're going to have 14 years of cards that are not their rookie year. That's going to be an exponential amount of cards, but there's only 1 year of cards that is going to be their year of rookie cards. So by its very nature, rookie cards are going to be more rare and more scarce than all of the other years of that player's cards. Rookie cards are also historically always the ones that are most sought after by investors. Therefore, if you're investing in a player's cards, you generally only want to be looking at their rookie cards. Number 5, don't overreact to a player's recent performance, but take advantage of the fact that a lot of people in this hobby do overreact. The hobby in general is very reactionary, and you can bet that if a rookie player has a hot game tonight, that his cards will be selling like crazy on eBay tonight, and by tomorrow, the listing prices on his cards will have gone up substantially. We see that pattern time and time again, but don't get caught in the hype. Be measured about what you're buying. Don't overreact to one particular hot game and start buying that person's cards up quickly. Be careful about what you're doing. Have a strategy, have a plan, and don't be impulsive. Don't overreact. Now, conversely, if you're selling cards, if you own a player's cards, you can take advantage of the fact that people are going to overreact at hot times. If you've got a guy's cards sitting in a box somewhere and that guy goes on a hot streak, that may be a really good time to get some of those cards on eBay with decent buy it now prices, or at least field some make it offer prices on eBay, because you're probably going to be getting some pretty good offers right after a guy goes on a hot streak. Number 4, don't buy a player's cards the first week they hit the market. Whenever a new set comes out, the first batch of cards that hit eBay from that set are generally overpriced. Wait a couple of weeks, and normally all of those cards will come down quite a bit in value. So don't buy the moment a new set hits the market or a new card hits the market. Sit back for a little while, let the market settle itself, and then if you're ready to buy, you can go in and buy at that moment in time. Number 3, open boxes for fun, but not for profit. Look, opening boxes is a lot of fun. Ripping wax, ripping open packs of cards, I love it. It's a thrill, but it's gambling. In order to make money from opening up packs of cards, you are dependent on there being a really, really good hit inside that pack or inside that box. It's like a slot machine pull in Vegas. Occasionally you'll hit the jackpot and you'll get a really big hit out of the pack, but more often than not, the cards in the box that you just opened, the market value of those cards is going to be worth less than what you paid for the box. So opening boxes is generally not a good investment. Now, there actually is a good investment when it comes to boxes, and that is buying sealed boxes and then keeping them sealed and reselling them down the road. That can be a good investment, but whether it's a good investment or not is all going to depend on the performance of that year's rookie class of the cards that you're holding. And you really have to be a strong person to buy sealed boxes, to put them on the shelf and let them sit there for a while, not open them, and then go back and resell them sealed. You really have to be a strong person to be willing to do that. But if you're able to do that and you have the self-discipline to do that, buying and selling sealed wax can often make a pretty good investment. Number 2, you'll never know the right time to sell, so don't wait until it's too late. And don't beat yourself up if you sell a card for a profit, but then the card continues to go up after you sell it. Look, you can never time the market perfectly. No one ever can. So it's very rare that you'll ever be able to sell at the peak. But you don't want to make the mistake of waiting too late to sell and then losing the profit that you could have had by selling a card earlier. As a rule of thumb for me, whenever I buy a card, I like to set a threshold that I am then going to sell the card at. Typically, for a lot of cards I buy, I will set that at 2 to 3 times the value that I bought it. So if I bought a card for $100, I will say, hey, if this card goes somewhere between $200 and $300, I'm going to sell this card. Sometimes I'll set that threshold a little bit lower for very expensive cards that I buy, or sometimes I'll set it higher for inexpensive cards that I buy. But whatever it is, I often set that threshold at the time I buy the card. That way it's easy. If the card goes up and it hits that price, I say, great, I'm ready to sell. I'm happy with the fact that I made a 2x or 3x return on my investment. I'm going to go sell the card now. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to debate about it. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And more often than not, I'm happy that I eventually sold that card and was able to get that profit, get those chips back off the table, and be able to invest that profit in other cards in the future. My number 1 tip that you must know as a new collector or investor coming into the hobby is, look, have fun. The hobby is meant to be fun, and you should be having fun buying and selling sports cards. If you are here simply for the purpose of making money and you don't have a love or a passion for sports cards that you're buying and selling, there are better ways to make money. There are other things that you can do that maybe are more aligned with your passion. Pick a side hustle that is more aligned with something you love doing. If you're here and if you're doing this, you should have a love for sports cards because, man, it is an awesome thing. And there is money to be made in this hobby. Look, sports card investing is a real thing. I've been able to make a lot of money at it. I know a lot of people have been able to make a lot of money at it. But what makes it a great thing is that I can make money doing something that I love. And if I didn't love sports cards, if I wasn't passionate about sports cards, there would be better ways for me to make money somewhere else. So hopefully you have the love and you have the passion, and that's why you're here. And if you do, if you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to put in the research and you're willing to approach the hobby with a sense of business savvy, taking calculated risks, understanding the risks, and doing the legwork to really understand what you're buying and why you're buying it, there is the opportunity for you to do very well and make some money doing the thing you love. So that is my list of 20 things that new sports card investors must know. If you're watching in YouTube, let me know in the comments below if there's anything more that you think new sports card investors must know that I did not cover in today's episode. And of course, join my Facebook group and my Discord chat server to keep the conversation going around any of the topics that I talked about today. Both are free to join, and you can get the links to both by going to my sportscardinvestor.com website. And while you are there, don't forget to enter my contest. Click the contest link on sportscardinvestor.com to win your way into this break of Prism First Off the Line cards. And folks, one more time, I want to remind you about StockX. If you're shopping for the holidays or if you are just looking to pick some cards up from an investment standpoint, StockX can be a great way to do it. And a card that I might be thinking about soon, maybe not quite yet, give it another week, but a card that you might want to start thinking about in the next week or two, Luka Doncic. So I did an episode a week ago where I said, guys, I think Luka has hit his high, and I think it is time to sell Luka Doncic cards. Since that time, Luka's card prices actually came down a fair amount in the last week. and then he got injured. He turned his ankle. Thankfully, x-rays were negative, but it didn't look good. He's going to be out for a little while. There's the opportunity that his card prices might really soften in the next couple of weeks. If that happens, it might actually be a good time to buy some Luka again. So start thinking about that and check his prices on StockX. Go to StockX, look at Luka's page on StockX for all of his different card variations. And you can use promo code SCIPOD for $10 off your StockX purchase of $50 or more. Folks, thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Hope you found the episode helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for my next episode. Take care.